This is 40-year-old Ashley Smylie, a math teacher admired by her students, and her teenage daughter, Gregg. To neighbors, they look like any other family. Smiling photos, ordinary routines, nothing that suggested what was about to unfold. Ashley believed she was keeping her daughter on the right path, but prosecutors later revealed that Carly had grown angry and resentful, especially after Ashley discovered her drug use and placed new rules in the home. What no one realized was that Carly had already made a decision. She had found a revolver hidden under her parents' mattress, and soon she would use it to carry out a plan so brutal it would leave one parent dead and another fighting for his life. It was a quiet evening in Rankin County, Mississippi. The Smylie household from the outside looked like any other family home. Neighbors described it as peaceful, normal, the kind of house you would walk by without a second thought. But on this night, behind those walls, a horrifying crime was about to unfold that would send shockwaves far beyond this small community. Ashley Smylie was 40 years old, a respected high school math teacher. Her students described her as strict but caring, the kind of teacher who pushed them to do better because she believed in them. Parents appreciated her dedication, saying she treated every student like they mattered. For colleagues, Ashley was a friend, someone who was always willing to help, always patient, and deeply committed to education. At home, she was also a mother. To her daughter Carly, she tried to provide discipline and structure, believing it was her duty to guide her into adulthood. But according to prosecutors, that same discipline became the very thing that drove Carly into anger and resentment. Ashley's husband, Heath Smylie, was 39. Friends described him as steady, hardworking, and supportive. He had built a life with Ashley, raising Carly together. For him, family was everything. That made what happened next all the more unthinkable. In the days leading up to the crime, tension had been rising in the Smylie home. Ashley had discovered that Carly was using marijuana. For Ashley, a teacher who valued discipline and responsibility, this discovery was unacceptable. She placed new restrictions on Carly, limiting her freedom and trying to steer her back on track. But Carly did not see it as guidance. She saw it as control. Prosecutors argued that this conflict, this anger toward her mother, was the spark that led to murder. On that evening, Ashley was at home, winding down after a long day. Heath was nearby, also settling in. Carly, however, had something else on her mind. Hidden beneath her parents' mattress was a .357 Magnum revolver. Carly knew it was there. She reached for it, pulled it out, and made her way toward her mother. In what prosecutors later described as a calculated act, Carly entered Ashley's bedroom and opened fire. 3 shots struck Ashley, killing her almost instantly. The woman who had spent her life teaching others and raising her daughter was gone in seconds. But Carly's actions did not end there. In one of the most disturbing details of the case, she texted a friend shortly afterward, inviting them over. When the friend arrived, Carly reportedly asked if they were squeamish around dead bodies. Then she led them to Ashley's body, showing them the lifeless form of her own mother. In court, this testimony would shock everyone who heard it, painting Carly as disturbingly detached from the gravity of what she had done. Carly then turned her focus to her stepfather, Heath. She waited for him to arrive home, revolver in hand. When Heath walked in, Carly ambushed him, firing and hitting him. But Heath, though gravely injured, refused to give up. He fought back, wresting the gun from Carly's hands. In a desperate struggle, he managed to survive long enough to call emergency services. His testimony later would be the most haunting of all, as he described the moment he realized his own stepdaughter had tried to kill him. When police arrived, they were met with a devastating scene. Ashley was dead. Heath was bleeding but alive, rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Carly was calm, collected, and taken into custody without resistance. To investigators, this was not a chaotic crime of passion. It was deliberate, planned, and executed with chilling precision. News spread quickly. Ashley was not just another name. She was a beloved teacher, and her murder stunned the community. Students left flowers outside the school. Colleagues gathered in disbelief. Parents struggled to explain to their children how someone they knew, someone who had taught them, could be gone in such a violent way. The story gained national attention. Court TV eventually broadcast the trial, turning it into a case watched across America. Viewers followed every revelation, every testimony, as the disturbing details of that night came to light. In court, prosecutors built their case piece by piece. They told the jury about Carly's resentment toward her mother, about the marijuana discovery, about the restrictions Ashley had placed on her daughter. They explained how Carly retrieved the revolver, how she shot Ashley 3 times, and how she later waited to ambush Heath. They highlighted her chilling text to her friend and her eerie calmness afterward. The most emotional testimony came from Heath himself. He described waking to sudden violence, realizing the person holding the gun was not a stranger, but Carly, the girl he had helped raise. He recalled the struggle, the pain, and the disbelief. His words moved the jury and audience alike, a living reminder of what had happened inside that home. Prosecutors also presented evidence of Carly's attempts to tamper with the crime scene. To them, this showed she knew exactly what she had done and tried to hide it. The defense fought back, arguing that Carly was suffering from a severe mental health crisis. They claimed she was not responsible for her actions and should be found not guilty by reason of insanity. They pointed to her age, just 14, and insisted she lacked the full maturity to understand the weight of her choices. But the jury was not persuaded. After hearing all the evidence, reviewing the testimony, and deliberating carefully, they reached their verdict in September 2024. Carly Gregg was found guilty of first-degree murder for killing her mother, guilty of attempted murder for shooting her stepfather, and guilty of tampering with evidence. The sentence was life in prison without the possibility of parole. For Ashley's loved ones, the verdict brought justice, but it could not bring her back. Students remembered her as a teacher who believed in them. Colleagues remembered her as a friend who always gave her time. Her family remembered her as a loving mother, taken far too soon by the very person she raised. For Heath, the nightmare never ended. Though he survived, the physical injuries remain, and the emotional wounds cut even deeper. To this day, he carries the memory of that night, the betrayal, and the struggle to live through it. Even after the verdict, Carly's case continued to make headlines. In early 2025, she hired new legal counsel, attorney James Murphy, to handle her appeal. Her team argued that the trial mishandled her mental health claims and that life without parole was too harsh for someone so young. In May 2025, her first motion was denied, but her legal fight continues. Legal experts say the appeals process could stretch on for years. For now, Carly remains behind bars, serving life without parole, while her attorneys prepare the next steps. The case continues to spark debate. Some see Carly as a cold-blooded killer, a teenager who turned on her family with full awareness of what she was doing. Others argue she was deeply troubled, that her mental state was ignored, and that the justice system treated her more like an adult than a child. But whatever side of the debate people take, the facts remain the same. Ashley Smylie, a beloved teacher and mother, is gone. Heath Smylie, her husband, survived but will forever carry the scars. And Carly Gregg, once a young girl with her whole life ahead of her, now faces the rest of her days behind prison walls. This case is a haunting reminder that sometimes the darkest tragedies happen not at the hands of strangers, but within the walls of our own homes. So what do you think? Was justice served in the case of Carly Gregg, or does her age and mental state suggest there is more to this story than the verdict revealed? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more true crime stories where reality is darker than fiction, do not forget to subscribe.